Hi, everybody. Hey. I guess I just want to start by saying how much I love everybody on this stage with me, and how grateful I am, because these are really the people who have ensured that the LEAP is not just another piece of paper, that it is a living, evolving project all the time, right? And not just the people on the stage, but also people who are not on the stage, many people not on the stage, people in this room who brought together that original convening, who work with the postal workers. Bianca didn't introduce herself, in case you didn't notice that. Bianca Magini is the person who gets all of your emails when you say, I want to start a LEAP group in my community. We have this great idea. This is what we want to do. And is coordinating the outreach in Canada. And it's a huge job. It's much more than one person can do. And we're in the middle of trying to figure out how we can expand to meet the demand. So it's been such a pleasure to work with Bianca, and working with Mike and the postal workers has been just the biggest delight and surprise for us. We know the postal workers are the most courageous union in this country, but the vision, right, to not just say the post offices are under attack, not just by the previous government, but still, and to have the courage to not just say we want to protect the status quo, but to put forward this visionary plan for how to reinvent the post office. It's so brave. This is what labor leadership looks like. I have this amazing privilege of traveling around the world and meeting with lots of amazing activists, and I have never seen union like this. I've never seen leadership like this. And we tell the story everywhere we go of what they're doing. And I show the slide of delivering community power, and the one that shows we have more post offices than Tim Hortons, right? Why would we give this infrastructure up when we could reinvent it, right? And it's also so courageous because, as you know, LEAP is not an uncontroversial document. And there are those that have particularly tried to push us back into these old divisions of jobs versus the environment. You have to choose between poverty and pollution. These are the only choices in front of us. And we need to move to a post-extractive story of what our economy and society can be. And this is a global struggle, right? I mean, last night, like many of you, I had the privilege of listening to Berta Cáceres' daughters at the unveiling of the mural in her honor, and hearing from activists around the world, as we will this week, who are fighting extractivism in all of its forms, including under progressive governments, right? Because we have actually not moved past that in the left imagination yet. And this is our challenge, right? As Maud is saying, they will sell Energy East as a nation-building project unless we can tell another story of what our mission is and who we are, right? So it's a race against time. And this is the work that we have to do. And the LEAP is just a first start. And Ellen Gabriel, was so central to shaping the spirit of this. Because every morning when we met in this gathering that Bianca told you about, Ellen led us in words and ceremony and brought our relations into that room with us, and we felt it, right? And it was Ellen, and it was other Indigenous leaders who were also there, like Arthur Manuel, Russ Diabo, and a generation of younger Indigenous leaders like Clayton Thomas Mueller, Crystal Lehman, who many of you know from our film and her incredible work with the Beaver Lake Cree First Nation, Ariel Deranger, Molina, La Bucanasimo, communities that are already bringing renewable energy to First Nations communities in the heart of the tar sands. They're already doing it. And what the LEAP says is this needs to be policy. This needs to be policy. It should not be up to these communities to have Kickstarter campaigns to fund this. This should be taxpayer money. It should be a matter of policy that First Nations are first in line to own and control their own renewable energy. Another group that contributed so much to the framing of the LEAP was known as Illegal Coast Salish Territory, and Mike mentioned the outrage of the visa applications, and that's just a small glimpse into the fact that despite the photo ops and the greeting refugees at the airport, which is good, it sends a good message, but the indefinite detentions are still going on. And so what we do in the LEAP is we try to connect the dots between the trade policies that our government is pushing, between the wars that we are complicit in, and also the climate events that are pushing people off of their lands, and that means that we need to open our borders to many more migrants and refugees, and that every worker, regardless of status in this country, needs full rights and protection. So, as Maud said, the council has carried this forward. They have, oh, wow, there's a microphone. They, over decades, have built this infrastructure across the country. And it's I don't know if there's more than Tim Hortons outlets, but there's a hell of a lot of Council of Canadian chapters. And they just mobilized around what would it look like in our community. And that's the issue. We need to, this is just the broadest of broad strokes. And it doesn't include everything that it should include. It is not a perfect document. But that is, once again, what's so exciting about what the postal workers have done is really made it real in one sector, right? This is the conversation that we need to be having. We need to understand that it's part of a global crisis, and I think the World Social Forum, in bringing the Latin Americans have the most involved discourse around what is called, in Latin America, extractivismo progresivista. How do you say it? Yeah, progressive extractivism, right? So called. And the phenomenon of progressive governments finding themselves in direct conflict with the social movements that brought them to power, right? So we need to learn from this. I mean, if the World Social Forum is good at anything, it is helping us learn from each other's struggles, right? I remember being at the first World Social Forum in Porto Alegre. There was a delegation from South Africa who met with the Brazilians on the eve of the PT's historic victory and warned them, winning an election is not enough. So this is really why we're here, to understand that we're not alone, that we are all in different stages of the struggle and these cycles, and we have to learn from each other. Yeah, I'll leave it there. Thank you.